So I says to Mabel, I'll finish this later. If you're watching this video, that means that I've been murdered. And I think I know who did it. It's beginning to look a lot like springtime. Why don't we sing that song? Because the snow is starting to melt, and I'm starting to sing. For only springtime is here pretty soon. Thanks for watching. It's good to see everybody back. Especially you. So, we were moving back from Los Angeles. And one of the things that Stacy negotiated was to get a dog for our apartment when we lived together. Because we did live together in Los Angeles, but we had a roommate, and we were going to move back to Wisconsin and just get our own place. And a dog was involved. Now, the thing about me, or the thing about my background, is that I had never owned a dog at all. I mean, I don't know how you could own a dog a little bit, but we, as a family, we had too many kids. My dad had dogs growing up, but which he talked fondly of, but I think he just didn't want another mouth to feed, or at least that's what I told myself, or he just didn't want the responsibility, which I would learn about. So I liked dogs, obviously, loved dogs, but there was disconnect. When you don't own a dog, you don't always know how to act around a dog, which is funny to say, but I think is true. If you don't own a dog, you're just not as comfortable around dogs that you might be if you had them when you were younger. So we moved back to La Crosse, and we started looking for places, and we knew that we wanted a dog, and so that limited the places that we could live at, which was already annoying. But we found a place that would allow dogs under a certain weight limit, small dogs, which I didn't really think about, like, what kind of dog that we would want to get. I was just open to an animal coming into my house, and so we knew that we had to look for a small dog. And so we did find a place, and then we started looking for dogs we'd go to the Humane Society and just do, I don't remember exactly where we'd end up looking, but we'd go random places to look for a dog. And so one day we were out at the mall, and we drove past Petco, and they're like, it said like dog adoption day or something like that. And we're like, oh, let's go in and see if they have any little doggies. And so we walked in and we looked around the store, and by this point I had started becoming comfortable in pet stores because, I don't know, we kept looking into them. We kept going into them thinking of what we would need for our future dog. So kind of just randomly looking around, and then in the middle of the store they had a bunch of cats and dogs, and this foster home had this one's easy for me to say, up for adoption. There you go. And there's this little what looked like a puppy with big ears, kind of hiding behind the legs of the person who was holding her. And so I had sat down, and then this little puppy comes pouncing up to me and sits in my lap, kind of slunks down, and then looks up at me. And I knew at this was going to be our future dog. I was like, who is this? And they're like, Millie. And I was like, Billy? Oh, what a cool name. And they're like, no, it's Millie. Because Millie, she's got these big ears. And maybe this is the thing that everybody thinks all dogs are boys, but no, Millie was a young female pup. And so we started the process. I think that day we put in our application, and they were like, I think somebody else has an application in on this. And we're like, okay, well, if it's meant to be, it's meant to be. And I think we got a call back a couple days later that said, hey, the other adoption fell through, and we would love to consider you guys for adopting Millie. Consider us for adopting Millie. And so they came out to our apartment and interviewed us and checked out our living situations, because they wanted to make sure that this was a good home for Millie. Easier to have children than to adopt Millie. And we must have passed their test, and we were able to adopt her. And I won't go into all the things that I learned about owning a new dog, but at our first vet appointment, the vet looked her over and said, oh, I think she's like a miniature pinscher corgi mix. She's just a mixture. She looks healthy. With breeds like this, I think you got a good 15 years. And I was like, 15 years? No, Stacy and I weren't married yet. We had just moved back, and I had just got into a 15-year commitment. So I was a little bit like, what did I get myself into? And Stacy laughed at me because she knew. But from that point, Millie has been part of the family. I mean, we'd wrestle. At first, when she was a puppy, she would sprint around the house. When we put her outside, she was fast as lightning. She had this attitude that she still has. But we would wrestle around, and we'd play this game called Pinch, Pinch, Bite, Bite, where she would nip at me and I would try to just get her. I don't know. She liked it, I liked it. No harm, no foul. Except now she likes to nip when people get too close. My bad. Sorry, Millie. But the next 3 years I worked part-time while I was working on Pop Punk Zombies, and Millie and I would take walks and just form that dog-human bond that happens. That sounded like a robot was explaining it. But still, Millie and I will walk at nights together in the winter, like deep winter. We like to walk. I like to walk. She'll deal with it for a little bit. And then, I just love her. And I was thinking about her. And we're like, it's getting to that point. All right. Here's Millie.